Hello everyone, welcome. Travel Talk Tuesday. It's Michael here with Chrissy and Mike. It's kind of like the rose between two thorns, or maybe the two roses with a thorn in between.
Nah, I'm the rose.
Well, we are glad to be with you, back coming to you from Sandusky after a great week of training at Universal. How'd it go, you guys?
Great. Beautiful weather, awesome parks.
Yeah, I hadn't been there since I was like 10 years old, so I didn't really know what to expect, but it was great. I loved it.
And when you were there at 10, that had to be when it was newer. I mean, it's a relatively new park. You're young, right? So was it new when you...
Yeah, it was brand new. So new, in fact, that a lot of the stuff wasn't up and running yet, and they gave us free tickets to come back. I didn't get to use my ticket, though. My parents took my nephew instead of me, so here I am 40 years later, 37 years later, finally getting a chance to go back. And
it changed a little bit, I'm sure, since then.
Yeah, but you know it's still there. The E.T. ride is still there.
Yes,
at
we
Universal
rode that.
Studios.
It was so fun.
I forgot about E.T. and how long ago that was, and we were going through the gift shop, and you guys were all excited because they had Reese's Pieces, and I forgot that was like, what was that, his power food or something like that,
Yeah,
or what?
He liked it. Yeah.
He loved Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Who doesn't, really?
Now the ride, though, I have to say, even though it's been there from the beginning, a little different than some of the other rides we rode.
Yeah, it's a lot of the rides at Universal are simulator based, and I guess you would call E.T. a simulator ride, but you sit on a bike and you fly with E.T. in the basket, and then at the end he says your name. As long as you're good, he says your
He
name.
forgot to say my name.
All
So
we
I
heard
was upset.
all morning was how excited Chrissy was for E.T. to say her name. And so we're in the ride at the end, like Lil G said, and at the end Lil G said thank you, and E.T. said thank you, and it said Angel, who's the front row, and then there was like a pause, a pregnant pause, and then it said Michael, camera, Lil G, and just completely forgot Chrissy. And I thought she was going to make us go on it again.
I did go to the ride operator and let him
She
know.
did. That 20-year-old looked like he didn't care.
Because all that happened, so it wasn't my day.
So the trip wasn't just rides and seeing E.T. and all that good stuff, but it was also a training experience for us. As you know, a lot of companies like Universal, Disney, cruise lines, all-inclusives have these trips planned for travel agents to come and learn more so that we can come back equipped and ready to book travel for you, our clients. And so a lot of the trip was work, learning. Yes. We had some class sessions. What were your thoughts on the sessions in class with Lisa, our teacher?
Well, first off, Lisa was great. She's our BDM for the company that we work through, and she was great and very informative. And it's another thing, you don't really know what to expect. You just know you're scheduled for a 3-hour block, and it was very informative. I learned a lot. Like I said, I hadn't been there since I was like 10 years old, so obviously a lot has changed in the parks back then there was only one park, now there's 3 parks. So you learned a lot, and I took a lot of notes and committed a lot of things to memory, and I can't say thank you enough to Lisa. She was great the entire trip.
Yeah.
Lils was ready for the exam at the end. He had copious notes, pages of notes. He was with the star student. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the class troublemaker, Chrissy, thoughts on the training session?
I thought it was very informative. We've been to Universal as a family several times in the past probably 5-10 years, and we learned a lot about resorts and benefits of their resorts and their hotels, and there are some that are very reasonable that would be surprising to people, and you still get to enter the park an hour early even with those. And then as you go up, the higher end hotels give you express passes, so you get to skip the line on some of the rides. So I did learn a lot about the resorts.
And I was not familiar with Express Pass because they have something like that here in town at Cedar Point, right?
Yeah.
What is that called?
Fast lane?
Fast Pass? Fast Lane?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I was not familiar with all this. And they were all excited about it. And it only hits home about the glory of this special pass when you pass about 300 people in the queue that look like they're cows ready to herd in, for the butchery. And you get to pass them straight to the front.
Yeah, it's
So
worth it.
I think after we passed the first 300 people on the first ride, I said, I don't think I can ever go back to life without that special little pass. It's really, really life-changing. And so if you
Makes
book
you feel
with
special, right?
it does, yeah. And if you book with me, it's going to be on there automatically. You don't have a choice because it's a phenomenal experience. So
Yeah.
we were blessed to have those passes, and it was good training. And then we got to jump into the parks. So a lot to see, a lot to do in the parks. What was your favorite highlight or favorite ride? Let's say what were you guys thinking your favorite ride was, or
I love Hagrid's motorcycle ride in it's in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. It was a fun ride. It was exciting. I rode it this summer with our kids. And that whole Wizarding World area is just, if you're a Harry Potter fan, it's a must see. You've got to go. So that was mine.
Yeah, Hagrid's was great. I really enjoyed that. I also got a chance to ride the Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventures. Early in the morning, we used our early entrance. We ran right back there. I got on it in like 10 minutes, and it was great. It's a fun roller coaster. I would say it's very reminiscent of like the Maverick at Cedar Point, where it's a launch coaster where you get launched from 0 to 70 a couple times, and
you're out of your seat.
Yeah, out of your seat quite a bit, going through the barrel rolls and up over the hills. It was, and it's funny, we could see the hill. It's only like 155 feet, I think they said, from our hotel room, and I kept watching coasters go over it, and I thought to myself, well, that's not very high. That's not going to be a whole lot, but when you go over it at 75 miles an hour and you're flying out of your seat, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why you people do this to yourselves. I'm the ones on the ground praying for you people because I think it's crazy. And a lot of interesting rides. It's more of a theme park than I thought. You know, I thought it was more like a Disney kind of thing, but there's a lot of rides and other experiences there. I don't know if I could pick a favorite ride. There's a lot of those simulators that were pretty awesome. My favorite probably was Spider-Man, and I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, but it's just so awesome how they put it together. And then the freaky thing is when the thing shows up on a screen, it's spinning on you, and you can feel it, and the wind blowing. It's
like 4D.
4D, yeah. It tests every element of you.
Yeah, it's. There, like I said, there was a lot of simulator rides like that. Spider-Man was awesome. I did Transformers by myself. That was fun. We did the Kong ride. That was fun. They're all kind of that 4D experience. Like on the Kong ride, I got spit on by a giant worm.
How special.
Yeah.
I'm sure your mom is proud.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Other highlights of the park? You know, we saw other non-ride kind of things. Anything stood out to you guys?
I really enjoyed when we were at Universal Studios and we went to Springfield and we got to sample the life of the Simpsons, because you and I both grew up watching the Simpsons, so it was kind of cool going into Moe's and having a Duff, only for 21 or older though. And the Simpsons ride we went on is another one of those simulator rides, but it's all over the place. It feels like you're actually on a roller coaster. So for me, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Volcano Bay. That's Universal's third park. It's a water park, but we spent an afternoon there, did a little training there, and then got to enjoy some time. Great. We rode a lazy river. We rode the crazy river, which is like a lazy river, but it has like a little bit of wave action, so that was kind of cool. They have a cabana area, which are the cabanas, you can have a little private area with a server, and those surprisingly are reasonably priced. They're not too expensive, so that was a nice area. And we tried a toasted coconut pineapple drink and sat by the wave pool, and it was a really neat day. And where we stayed was Cabana Bay Resort. Basically, we walked. What was the walk?
It was like a 3-minute walk.
3-minute walk, right from our hotel room, right into the water park. So that was surprising for me because I had never been there.
Another thing they had there that I thought was cool was they had like bungalows. So if you go there on
like a tree house.
Yeah, on a family trip, you can have this whole little bungalow that has couches and there was even TVs in there for entertainment. Not that you need entertainment at a water park, but it was cool, and they were kind of double deckers. They were on top of each other, and there was an elevator that could get you up to the top floor if you had someone who had trouble with stairs in your party. It was very well thought out.
Yeah, and one of the benefits, of the water park, and we're familiar with water parks here in Sandusky, they have, as soon as you walk in, you get a band, and it looks kind of like a smartwatch, and it's called Tapu Tapu, I think. And what you do is, so you don't have to climb the stairs and wait for your water ride, you put your Tapu Tapu up to a, what would you call that thing?
It's like a sensor.
A sensor at the ride, and it will buzz you when you're ready to ride. So you don't have to wait in any lines. You can go do something else, get some lunch, and when it buzzes, that means it's your turn to ride. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I missed Volcano Bay,
You did.
and I was a little bummed out because Tamara, Mike, and Chrissy came back, and they were like kids on Christmas morning. They were so excited, telling all these stories about how wonderful the park was.
Yeah.
And I just sat there a little jealous and a little bitter because I had to stay back in the hotel room and work.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a good experience. Now, in the training, I think Lisa said something about there being a water slide that goes up in the center of the volcano building and drops you down straight.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I'm sure
Didn't
one of
do
you
it,
guys
but
went
we-
on that ride.
I did not do that one, no. But they've got a
A
lot
little
of...
wimpy, huh?
Yeah, they've got a what's called a water coaster, where it's not a slide in traditional sense where you're sitting directly down in the slide. You're in like a roller coaster, but you're powered by the water, and that's a lot of fun for sure. And they do have a drop slide, which I did not do.
That's in the side of the volcano, and
Yeah.
it has a clear tube, so you can sit there and watch people go down it.
Is that when you go in and then you have the bottom thing drops and you just
Yeah,
go?
they pull the floor out.
See, you
Yeah.
can't pay me to go on that because
No.
I'm afraid I wouldn't.
No.
I'd get stuck and clog it up or something like that. That thing's a little intimidating. Those kind of rides. I think they have a couple at Cedar Point too. Don't they have that with the drops or?
They have one of those. They might have one at Kalahari.
You know what? Honestly, I have not been to the water park since they
Oh.
redid it, so I'm not entirely sure.
But a fuller experience down there at Volcano Bay sounds good. I think if I had we were talking about highlights. One of my highlights was the City Walk area.
Yeah.
And at first it doesn't seem like anything special because it's like an area that you cut through to get to the parks. But it's full of restaurants, bars, entertainment. It has a couple shops, has a mini golf. It had the Voodoo Donuts was definitely a highlight. And had a lot of stuff to do before you even get to the park. Beautiful view. So you're on like this thing of water, a lake or pond or something. And you can see the different parks, see some of the rides. And we had to, Tamara made us sit at Margaritaville underneath Jimmy Buffett's plane that was shot at in Jamaica or wherever it was. And we had to have a sample. So it was very tough and you got to see beautiful weather, great people to watch, beautiful parks, sounds, all that stuff. So City Walk for me was definitely a highlight. It was a great experience and a lot of
It's a
fun.
neat area.
And something for every age, I think, you know.
Definitely.
So, speaking of good drinks and food, okay, so for all you foodies out there, Universal also has a lot of good food options. So, why don't you share your favorite, either your favorite restaurant, your favorite dish that you experienced, favorite meal that you experienced?
Well, the first night we were there for training, we went as a group and ate at Vivo. It's the Italian restaurant in City Walk.
Still burning off those calories myself.
It was very good, really nice restaurant, very good. We had charcuterie, we had Caesar salad and pasta, and it was really good. Yeah.
I agree, that was great. I got the squid ink pasta. It was
black.
Yeah, it was very good. But I enjoyed the Voodoo Donuts. We got that on our way out of the parks on the last day. It was a nice little reward for walking 72 miles during the course of
20,000 steps.
Each day.
Had to build that carb base back up. But obviously we didn't get a chance to eat at every restaurant at City Walk this trip around. But there's some
There's something for everyone.
yeah, and there's brands that you'll recognize. There's a giant Hard Rock there that has live entertainment, live music. There's a Margaritaville, like you mentioned. There's even quicker things like Panda Express type restaurants too. So there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options there. I have to say, I really wanted to go. They had a building that looked like a chocolate factory. I think they called it a chocolate factory, a chocolate emporium. And that just kind of sat over there enticing you, but we couldn't get reservations in time. But that was definitely something I had my eye on. Voodoo Donuts was a highlight for me. and we had some of us were smart, picked up a couple donuts so that we were prepared for the next few days. And so Lil and I, we were stuck being roommates, so we had donuts the next day in the morning with bacon on them, and it was a little bit of a slice of heaven there. It was very good.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, though. When you're staying there, try and make reservations for the places that you're going to, and
the restaurants. Yeah,
the restaurants, just in case, because you never know how busy they're going to be on a given night. A little bit less busy on a weekday, but if you're there on like a Friday or Saturday, definitely recommend reservations at the restaurants.
Yeah, because I think the Italian meal, which was one of our favorites, we wouldn't have been able to get into. I mean, when we walked up, they were already telling us it's so many hours wait or whatever, but we had reservations, so we were able to get in. But I mean, they were packed. Everywhere was packed, and it was not normally a busy day when we were there. So that's a good hint, especially if you want to get into that chocolate emporium mecca place over there that just calls your name when you're there. So good experience. We're on a weight loss program now after the experience, but a wonderful time. Another key element of this whole training then was visiting resorts. So we talked about the 3 parks, including Universal Park, including Islands of Adventure, including Volcano Bay. We talked about the great food, a city walk, all to do, but then there's also some wonderful accommodations. And so we got to tour 3 of the resorts and stay at a 4. So we got to experience 4 of the different resorts there. Mm-hmm. And what are your impressions, thoughts about the resorts? Chrissy mentioned earlier about some of the perks that the resorts have, but other highlights that stood out in your mind?
I've got to say, I was surprised for their price points. Now the prices change depending on whether it's peak season, off season, but still, for the price points that they charge, how nice the resorts actually were. Like, we stayed at Cabana Bay, and it was considered a value prime, so just a step up above the value. But our Cabana Bay, there was a bowling alley, there was an arcade, there was 2 pools. The room was much more spacious than a place we stayed Saturday, which had a much higher price point. And I was surprised. I think your best bet when you go to Florida or Orlando is actually to stay at a Universal resort for the spaciousness, the price you pay, and ease of travel to get to places.
Yeah, shuttles.
Yeah, I thought like our resort where we stayed, even though it's not the bottom one up, I think it's like it would be a high-end resort anywhere else. I mean, and you wouldn't be paying what the rate is for that at a hotel resort.
Yeah, and the views from our room were kind of overlooking the parking lot, but if you're lucky enough to be on the other side of our building, you're overlooking Volcano Bay, and it's a tremendous view.
Yeah.
Chrissy, what stood out to you at the resorts we stayed at and visited?
I think, like Mike said, I think you'd be surprised at some of the rates. Beautiful properties, beautiful pools. I think my favorite was Royal Pacific, which is the starting hotel, I think, at the top level. The top level. Premium, yeah. But just beautiful property, beautiful restaurants, pools. It's just, everything's right there. And then you have a shuttle to take you to every resort.
And that place has all the shuttles. It has the land shuttles, has the water taxi. Yep. A lot of them have these little cool pathways to get to behind the wood, kind of little pathways to get.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a good experience at the resorts. Yeah, I think the resorts we toured, I was surprised. We started with the low end. We worked our way up each one for our tours. And the first one, I was like, well, I could just stay here. This place is great. It was that good. And each one, definitely there was clear distinctions and more value added with each. But each, I think most people would be happy at any of them because they were beautiful, well-kept, high-end resorts. Yeah. I mean, nice places with lots to do. Yeah. And they showed us this room where people torture themselves and get on machines and do things. All of them had those torture chambers. I think some
fitness centers.
Yes, that's it. The fitness center. All of them had those horrible places. The water, transportation, getting into parks early, and really, I kept asking Lisa, who was giving us a tour, repeat that price one more time because it's amazing how reasonable these prices are. Yeah. Whereas when you go to some resorts, you're going to pay triple that price for a smaller room. Yeah. But good experience.
Nice. Yeah, I think something else that they do that's really good is if you're staying at a value hotel, they keep the price points at a value level too, even for the food in the hotel. And that's not to say that the food isn't good. It is, but it's affordable for an entire family. If you stay at the premium hotel, obviously you're paying a little bit more, but the perks added in, like you can get to the front of the line when it comes to reservation time for restaurants. You get express included in your ticket. So if you price out what you're paying at a premium resort, it may be the most economical way to go too.
Yeah, it's interesting that when we were having our tour with Lisa, and we were at the top resort, and she talked about the value, and she did some of that math with the express pass, and then they had the special class level rooms at that top one. Do you remember that? It was like a first class level club rooms or hospitality rooms, and they got from there, they got meals, they got breakfast. And so that, on top of transportation, on top of the express pass, that alone almost covered the cost of the rooms. So when she did that math for family of 4 or 5, whatever it was, it just kind of blew my mind that it's almost staying for free because of all the perks that are being basically covered.
We can help you figure all that out, which one would work best.
Yeah, and I guess it is each traveler travels differently. Every one of us have different budgets. Every one of us are looking for a little bit something different on our trip. And so I guess that's one of the benefits of using us, a wonderful travel agency like the Good Life Travel, right? Mm-hmm. We know the values and we know the deals. And right now, if I remember correctly, Universal is doing a special deal for tickets.
3.
Yeah, you have up until May 5th, which is Thursday. You buy 3 tickets, you get 2 free days in the park, basically. So you buy 3, you get 5.
3 days, get 2. Yeah.
So 5 days in the park. Now, before going there, I would have thought, what are you going to do for the other 4 days? But I really think after being there...
with 3 parks, too.
Yeah, I mean, you could pack... I mean, Chrissy, you had kids. You know your kids.
I have kids, yeah.
You have, okay. Sorry.
You're still kids.
They're adults now, but they were little at one point.
Yes.
As a mother, you could have spent 5 days with them?
Oh, absolutely.
And had a good time, kept them
occupied? I mean, there's so many little secret nooks and crannies in those areas of the park that, you certainly could. And to have those days to spread it out so you don't have to jam everything into one afternoon or 2 afternoons. I mean, you can see it all.
The one interesting thing in Harry Potter, and I did not know anything about that part of the park, I saw the kids with the little sticks, okay?
Wands.
Whatever, okay? And they're waving them around the buildings, and weird things happen in the buildings.
Yeah.
Like, there's like magic kind of things that happen when the kid stands there and waves the wand. So what are those wands? Tell me about those wands. Do you have a wand, Chrissy? I know you're probably into all that stuff.
Our kids both have them, but, and they are adults. But so there's little areas of the park that in the Wizarding World where you stand and the interactive wands can work with the backdrop in the building. So there's an umbrella, and if your wand activates it, it rains under the umbrella. A feather, you can make the feather rise. There's all different things that it can do. So the kids love those. So they go to the wand shop, they get those, and they run around and use those.
Big kids too.
Big kids too.
I saw a lot of adults in all the gear with the little stick thing waving it, and it was doing the thing. It's pretty interesting. But so I think what that says is that Universal is really for all ages.
All ages,
and there's something for everyone to do. I mean, we were 4 adults, and we had a good time and a lot of experience, good laughs, good food, and a good trip, I think, overall.
It was.
I think, people think of the other parks down the road as being driven by characters, but you forget all the characters that are associated with Universal Studios too. We mentioned Harry Potter. They've got a lot of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World kind of stuff. Minions, Simpsons, Shrek. You've got the old Universal monsters. They've got stuff there so there's a lot. Transformers, Men in Black. So there's a lot of familiar brand names involved with the Universal parks as well.
Bourne series too, which was an awesome show. Yeah. That I could do a whole nother talk just on the Bourne show and stage and all that.
Excellent.
It was awesome. So it's for all ages, great deals, a lot of different options down there. And then one other thing that I thought was interesting, I guess I didn't know about, was just like a lot of parks have these different theme kind of parties. I think it's 3 or 4 times a year they have special themed events, like at Christmas time, a holiday kind of season. They have a Mardi Gras time. They had just finished it up when we got there. There were still beads on the trees and all this stuff, and floats and all that jazz and all that stuff. But then one of them, Mike was taking really copious notes about, and I think he wants to take a group down there. I could just see it in his eyes.
I'm ready to go. Hit me up if you want to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year in October down at Universal Studios, because they go all out. And what's interesting is it's kind of a separate experience. So you can go to the parks during the day and get a normal parks experience, but then they shut down for a couple hours and they turn the parks into this Halloween festival, and you go back over there, and I've seen the commercials for years. It looks amazing. I want to experience it in person.
Yeah.
A little scary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for the faint of heart.
Yeah. I'll stick with E.T.
But you know, they have different packages you can buy, and one of them is Unmasking the Horror, where you can go during the daylight and they show you how they do all the stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. So it kind of maybe lessens the fear of people like yourself, so you can see that maybe it's not real.
I will take your word for that, because when someone's coming at you with an axe or a chainsaw, I don't care if I saw him during the day at Moe's having a duck beer. I don't trust the guy. So, but a great experience. So I guess what we're trying to say is we had a blast, and we are pretty confident that you and your family, your significant other, your friends will also have a blast. So give us a call, text message, email, any of that good stuff. And we are ready to book rooms, especially these two. They kind of become specialists at this Universal Park, I think, experts, because they've been there so many times, they did so many notes, had such a great experience that they are ready and excited to book some rooms and some tickets and all that good stuff for you.
Keep in mind, we have packages available where you can hold your trip for 2023 with just a small deposit. So that's something to think about too. You'd have, you'd have to pay it in full, I think, a month before you go, but a small deposit can hold the package till next year.
Can the family then make payments toward that? So if they put a
Absolutely.
small deposit down, so like our family, we put $100 a month, or my mom had an envelope with cash or whatever it is, or change. They can make payments up until that date then?
Yeah, I just looked at a package a couple days ago, and it was a $300 deposit. They were going to go in May, and the balance wasn't due until April. So that gives you a way to set money aside, or you can always call, and we can do monthly payments too.
Sounds like good options there for you.
Help you plan.
And have a great experience. We're confident of that. So I think that's what we're going to cover. I think we covered everything today that we can. I mean, we could probably talk for hours more. We have been ever since, from the plane right on, because we had such a blast at Universal, and we're pretty confident that all of you will as well.
Yep.
Next week, we have a special Travel Talk Tuesday. I'm not going to tell you where, but I'll be coming to you from a remote location far, far away. So I'm looking forward to...
We're looking forward to that, too.
The office will be a lot quieter. But there won't be as good of food, That's all I'm going to say. So, but we will have that live special Travel Talk Tuesday next week about the same time. I'm looking forward to that. I want to thank you guys for being with us and sharing your experiences. And we look forward to more future Travel Talk Tuesdays. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Bye.
Take care. Oh, there we go. You're supposed to do another act, Chrissy.